All right, bang, bang. It's the rundown. It is Wednesday. It's January 11th. It's on Zoom. It's myself, Eddie. I'm joined by Clem. I'm joined by Megan, Making Money, the trio that everyone's been waiting for, right? I mean, this is it. This is it.
This
This
is
is it.
this is my second time meeting Megan. The first time was on a dog walk, also online. So let's have ourselves a trip. I also won that. That was the Joe's draft that I won. So
I think I got second place, so it wasn't a bad showing for me for my first time on the dog walk and in Chicago. Everyone knows, Clem, that you're the nicest guy in the world. So, I mean, not only do you have awesome picks, but you also are just extremely kind. So, I would vote for you too.
well, you're the nicest person. So the fact that I was able to overcome your niceness to then take it. So a couple nice people, three nice people on the rundown. Eddie's
It's a
a
nice
nice guy
off
too.
today. It's a
Yeah, this is
nice
a
off.
nice off.
Beautiful, beautiful, nice off. And presented by Nice Coffee here, introducing Stella Blue, hand selected by Big Cat to deliver unrivaled taste. Stella Blue's premium blend of Rainforest Alliance Certified Colombian and Central American coffee beans taste better because they are hand selected and roasted to perfection. Right now, you can try our three delicious roasts: Positive Vibes Light Roast, Big Cat Blend Medium Roast, and Electric Avenue Dark Roast. In single serve pods, freshly ground bags, or whole bean coffee bags. Welcome to your new favorite cup of coffee. Shop now at stellabluecoffee.com. It's great stuff. We got a bunch at the Chicago office. We all love it. So go get your Stella Blue.
You want to talk about a nice guy? Damn, Big Cat Cats is so nice that he's selling coffee. I mean, I never knew it was going to happen. Looking back, I mean, Eddie, you've known him forever too, and now the guy's selling coffee. That's the kind of level Dana is. So shout out to him.
That's
Well, I
perfect.
haven't yet to have any Stella Blue, but I need to go ahead and either get to the Chicago office or the New York office or just order some because I've heard fantastic things about it. And it's not just because obviously I work for the company and I want Big Cat to succeed here, but literally everyone that I've talked to says is a fantastic cup of coffee. So shout out Big Cat. I mean, doing his thing the right way.
Absolutely. StellaBlueCoffee.com. Actually, the topic to lead us off is perfect for both of you. Carlos Correa signs a 6-year, $200 million deal with the Twins. Megan, you're an Astros fan, so you're involved in that way because obviously Correa used to play for the Astros. Clem, plucked from your hands. Clem, we'll start with you since most recent with the Mets, obviously.
Yeah. So the way this all went was I mean, it was crazy. Like, looks like he's going to the Giants. Obviously, he's there for like a week. They cancel the press conference. All the tweets were coming out, joking like, Steve Cohen kind of like looking at his phone. Is this going to be a thing? Then there was like whispers about the Mets maybe being involved, and then 3 a.m, Correa just lands on our lap. And you know this. I mean, you guys are both sports fans. Usually when you're dealing with a free agent of Correa's level, it's like there's sources, especially in baseball. You're dealing with, agents going through the media, all these tweets and stuff like that. It was like the least painless acquisition of a superstar ever. And then he just gets like slowly taken away from us over like 2 weeks or whatever. It's been 3 weeks. It's crazy. Now, from a Mets fan perspective, this is the God's honest truth. I think a lot of other Mets fans are on the same level. And we talked about it on our podcast. Like, Correa was like finding like an $100 bill like on the floor, and you're like, that's awesome. But there was always something in the back of your head like, this seems a little too good to be true. But we were stoked, and I thought this would be the thing that maybe I think people were saying we would become maybe the favorite to win the World Series. I'd love to see us number one in the Barstool Sportsbook app, with your team number one in terms of the World Series odds. But dude, Scott Boras giving back $150 million in 7 years for his client, that doesn't happen often. I don't know what Carlos Correa's ankle looks like, but I'm guessing it looks like a plane crash. Basically, there's fire, there's twisted metal, there's dead bodies. I don't know what's going on in there, but it seems like the most horrific thing on earth, basically.
The Giants look like geniuses, just absolute geniuses. And honestly, I've washed my hands with Correa after he left the Astros. I have Jeremy Pena. Very, very happy about that. And he's a lot cheaper. A great guy. Shout out Jeremy Pena. And even though you do have an ex-Astro now in Justin Verlander, hopefully he can close seasons for you guys. I'm happy with our rotation, and I think that our name will probably be up there in that number one spot to win the World Series. But it's okay. That's me just having fan bias down here. 3 hours from Houston.
And let me just say, from the Mets to the Astros, nothing but love from New York to Houston because you guys took the Yankees fans out of our lives and all that chirping, and then you took down the Phillies. So there's nothing but love for World Series MVP Jeremy Pena. Everything's working out for you guys, and we hope to one day get to your level, no matter what it takes. So yeah, Carlos.
Nice off. Here we go.
Yes, a nice off. Very nice off.
Dude, I mean, it's so strange. Like, there's someone just to fail two physicals. Like, physicals are always like, you always hear pending physical back in the day. Like, yeah, all right, that shit's getting passed, and that's gonna happen. Like, now it's almost with this guy. It's actually like a real thing. You're right. I wonder what's going on with his ankle. Was he like constantly on the IL, Megan? Like, I don't really know. I don't follow it that closely. What was
he was with the Twins last season.
Yeah.
So, I don't follow the Twins that closely. I don't think I don't know how much he played. I don't think he was on the IL a ton, but I'm also not positive because, again, I kind of, whenever he left, it wasn't on bad terms, say like a Garrett Cole, but, I just, whenever an Astro leaves, if it's not like, let's see, who do I love? George Springer. I love George Springer. That's a guy that I'll probably love forever. If he ever came back to be an Astro, I would love that. But Correa, I don't know if he was a guy that really, this is not a discredit to his talent whatsoever, because the guy is absolutely talented. And as Clem said, there has to be like a hurricane going on with his ankle for the Giants and the Mets to say, no, thank you. I lost my train of thought, so we can cut that. But.
Well, so Correa, and I looked this up back when the Mets signed him. He played 136 games last year, 148 the year before, 58 in the COVID year, which is like basically the whole season. He missed like half the season in 19, and this goes back to 2014. This injury, so it sounds like it's just one of those things that I think. I don't know, like arthritis. I don't know enough about arthritis, but if that shit sets in, you're fucked. Guys, I was going down, like, people were sending me YouTube videos of like the way he stands, and it's like his like ankles are inverted. Like, this is bad news.
And
man.
the cold is bad for arthritis. That's one thing I do know. So whether he was going to be a Met or a Twin or either one, that arthritis is going to kick in that ankle at some point this season. I'm just happy it's not on your roster. And he went back home. He just went through an entire like Ferris wheel just to go right back to where he started.
And if you're a Twins fan, like, you have to kind of be like, what the fuck, dude? You tried this out with two teams before us, but at the same point, like, the Twins aren't going to be offering up $300 million for, especially a guy that had some sort of red flag. But I love the Twins basically like instantly cleared him of that physical. They're like, you're good, man. Come on. And I was saying, it's like, Correa was almost like a present that was under the tree. We're like, holy shit, you guys got us a new Power Wheel as well as the new bike and the new Nintendo. But like, we looked at the Power Wheel, we realized that like the battery wasn't that good. So like, give it to the guys down the street. Like, they're struggling. Like the Twins, like Minnesota, they're not signing a lot of free agents, right? Like, that's just not the kind of franchise they are. So I think they're going to be very happy with him. And I honestly do hope he stays healthy and is well. It was going to be LOL Mets if Correa came here and got hurt. And it was going to be LOL Mets if what happened. So I just feel like the Twins fans, it is kind of a weird situation now. You tried to like leave us twice, and now you came crawling back for like half the deal, half the length of the contract, and half the money.
And also, as a teammate, like, how do you feel about Carlos Correa? Like, does he even want to be there? Like, or is this just like his last leg standing job at the moment? You know what I mean? Like.
And like, if you're a Twins fan, Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, you're just holding your breath nonstop with those two guys in your lineup for the foreseeable future. It's crazy. And then the Giants, they kind of screwed Brandon Crawford over, right? Because he was their shortstop. They signed him. And then a lot of people are saying with the Mets, like Escobar and Beatty were kind of just like, oh, you guys are no longer our third baseman for the foreseeable future. Now it's like, oh, just kidding. You guys are here. So there's a lot, like, Carlos Correa left there's a lot of like hurt feelings that probably resemble his ankle right now.
Probably.
Now we can move on, Clem. Before we move on, obviously, some people seem to think that you can't bring up Carlos Correa without mentioning Darren Ruff. Should I just move on, or can you talk about Carlos Correa without Darren Ruff?
Third baseman, like one of the greatest, like one of the best shortstop in the league, and just some like DH that is making $3 million this year. I think we can move on.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Next,
people that know ball know that.
Next topic here. The fucking Golden Globes were apparently on a Tuesday night. When did they start doing that? Apparently they took off last year because there were allegations of racism in the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. The issues were addressed by Jared Carmichael, who hosted. I saw Banshees of Inisherin won the Best Motion Picture. Clem, House of the Dragon won Best Television Series. You got anything, Clem? I'm sure you were hyped that won the best series.
So I never know that I've never known these awards are on until they're on, and you see the Twitter start getting like hit with stuff. So I'm not really a Golden Globes fan. Like I never watch them. I always appreciated they were the ones where people could just get drunk, right? And they could just get loaded up. Shout out Billy Alcock. I thought she looked like she might have gotten a little boozy. She was the girl that played the young Rhaenyra on House of the Dragon. And then it's like House of the Dragon won for best, I think, drama TV show. The Bear, the guy who plays the Bear, which is a great show set out in Chicago, he won, which I love to see. And then Angela Bassett won for Black Panther. So it's like stuff I actually watch wins awards. So that's why I always like the Golden Globes. Being on a Tuesday is a tough look, though. I mean, that's like the no man's land. It's like being on the Wednesday rundown. No, I'm just kidding. But I feel like it's like, Sunday is football, right? Especially no matter if it's the, Packers Lions was all in our brains. Monday's national championship. I think you're just going to get bodied and moved to Tuesday. I don't understand why they don't move all these award shows to February when there's nothing else going on once the Super Bowl's over.
Well, here's my thing. I don't necessarily hate it. I just feel like you got to run ads and you got to make a joke about like, hey, we're a Tuesday show now, right? Yeah. Like people, I saw I think Casey was talking about how she wishes the national championship was not on a Monday. I actually don't really hate that either. I kind of like that the NCAA championship for both basketball and football are on a Monday. It's just like sole focus. Everyone's watching that. And that's just like the only thing people have their main attention on. So, but it just feels like I didn't hear about it or anything. And I see a decent amount of movies. And I don't know. It was weird, but Megan, you got anything?
Yeah, I had no idea it was going on either. But yeah, shout out House of the Dragon. That's the only thing I've seen. Oh, I've seen the Bear too, but that's the only thing that I've seen that has won an award that's on this list. Also, shout out to, as you said, Millie, because that was my favorite rendition of Rhaenyra within House of the Dragons. I really liked her, and I felt like she did a fantastic job with that role, just being like super like salty, spicy, and like I just really loved the young Rhaenyra. So,
and the fact that she got boozy during the show, that used to be a thing that like you'd see the A-listers. I don't know if A-list, again, I didn't watch a minute of it last night. I just saw the clips on Twitter. I always love seeing, Tom Hanks, getting a little loose on stage and stuff like that. I feel, and I don't know if this is the case with you guys, I feel like award shows and late night shows are two things that after COVID, just like everyone stopped caring about. Like no one watches them. I don't see any of the clips going, live viral or anything like that. They're two things that kind of just got pushed to the side after everyone's habits changed in terms of like watching stuff.
And I feel like seeing like, oh, I didn't even know this was going on. It's kind of like a typical take nowadays, but we're very online, like it's our job, the three of us. And if we didn't know what was going on a Tuesday, like I feel like that's not great, but
I feel like the celebrities might need to do a better job pushing their own award shows, maybe, and maybe if they want us to watch it or watch their shows.
Every show should have booze. I guess there could be some more Will Smith situations if that happens. But I mean, that like stopped the world when that happened. But I think even when that happened, that was kind of like under the radar. And then once he, punched Chris Rock, everything changed.
If anyone can get behind boozing at events, it's your girl right here. So I support that fully at any event, as long as it's not gambling, because we know at Barstool we don't do that. It's only responsible gambling.
That's right. Responsible.
Correct. This is the news to me that took over Twitter last night, but apparently it might not be true. Vince McMahon might be selling WWE to the Saudi government. Megan, we'll start with you.
And it just sounds like a Vince McMahon bit already. Like, I mean, like it most likely is true, but it just sounds like a bit. I mean, doesn't it? Like that just is something you read and you think that he's like gonna like bust out and just all of a sudden like flip the script on you, right? But
like a bit, like you think it's fake.
Yeah, like it sounds like it, but I don't think it actually is a bit. Because he retired, then he came out of retirement. And then he was supposed to give it to his daughter and Triple H, I believe. So it's kind of like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, Clem.
I mean, just listen to what she's saying. It does sound like a WWE storyline. And I mean, me and Ed, we've been going back to this, back to childhood. But it's like, yeah, Vince, he retired. He got in some legal hot water. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, who I know they're married, but it's like you just say it all. And every time something crazy happens in WWE, you do think like, this feels like it's real. I mean, I feel like Vince has been in this shit so long, he might not even know what reality is and what is like part of the show, right? Because he's been in this shit for years. I mean, he was running it, but he's been like a character in it for so long. I do feel like there is a chance. And then like Saudi Arabia, that's been like even Saudi Arabia being involved, that would be something that would be like a storyline growing up. I remember the Iron Sheik was Iran, and then they made him Iraqi once it became Desert Storm, and we're fighting Iraq in the war, and that was a big part of it. And now Saudi Arabia is kind of the hot button thing now that live golf and all this stuff. It does feel like a bit, but this also feels like a real version of Succession, where it's like you have Stephanie McMahon, she resigns as CEO in the morning. Then they're saying, did she leak the stuff that got Vince in trouble with like the sexual allegations? And then Vince, did he leak this? So then to kind of put their ass under the fire in terms of selling the company. I'm just saying all this, and I'm like, we are being taken for a ride right now by the fucking McMahons once again. God damn it.
See, that had not occurred to me. It certainly could be true, but the fact that she stepped down and he came back and there's been rumors of a sale, it to me, like taking it at face value, if it's not a bit, I looked at it and I said, oh wow, and then I peeled back and I was like, wait a minute, I should not be saying oh wow. It is the most Vince McMahon shit of all time to sell the fucking Saudi, right? Like it is, it just is. And I don't know, I mean it's you say, oh, wow, because you just always assumed he was going to hand it down to Triple H, Stephanie, and Shane. And listen, it's not confirmed as of right now. So, but even if he sells it to a media company, it's still like, there would still be an element of, oh, wow, right? Clem, like, I think so. Like, you just always assume that the McMahon name will always be arm in arm with WWE.
Yeah, especially because his dad started. It's not like he, built it up. And the fact that it would leave the family and then going to the Saudis. And I was reading, I never thought of this. I'm a wrestling fan. Look, I even wore this shirt today. I wore my I just got this in the mail, and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta throw the rock on. I put on an old wrestling show. I think it was like an old Monday Night Raw a couple of years ago, and my daughter just was like, what is that? And she didn't know what it was, but she was just like, she was entranced, and I'm like scared to show my son, who's a 4-year-old maniac, but I'm like, once I show them wrestling and they get into it, they're gonna love it. And I'd rather show them maybe the Hulk Hogan days more than the Attitude days. But as someone that like, I fell in love with wrestling twice when I was a kid and then during the Attitude Era, I'm always hoping to get back into it with the kids. It's something you can kind of do together, and I'm hoping for kind of a little Attitude Era to be brought back whenever the world will allow it, because God knows the shit we were watching in the 90s and 2000s were not fly.
You cannot do it.
But like, you send that to Saudi, you send the WWE to Saudi, they might just wipe the Attitude Era from the archives. Like, they're going to be like, just the last thing you see is Doink the Clown, and then what you're going to see John Cena, and that's it.
Clem, that's what I was going to say. That's what scares me the most. If this did happen, it's hypothetical. If it did happen, people were talking about the video library. We can't just lose all the bra and panties matches. You know what I mean? We can't lose those. We can't lose Val Venus getting his penis cut off. We can't lose all that shit. We can't
Val
lose
Venus.
Like classic moments.
When I sit down years from now and teach AJ about the birds and the bees, I'm going to have to show him the Sable clip, because that was the moment millions of boys became men. And if that clip isn't available online because it's been wiped by the fucking king of Saudi Arabia, that's a fucking problem for me as a father. Like, just a friend. He's just my buddy, So that's a real thing I'm worried about. So.
Just imagine, I had 3 older brothers and then all boy neighbors. So it was like all wrestling or football growing up. And so, of course, I'm watching, and then I see all, the wrestling queens. I'm like, like the divas. And I'm like, that's what I want to look like when I get older. Yeah. And now I look back and I'm like, kind of glad I didn't go that way. Pretty happy with myself.
I feel like we're getting a little bit of the Megan Makin Money origin story. Just that right there, like the tale of her growing up around nothing but boys. I think we're learning a little bit of the origin story.
Wanted to be China for a while, no big deal.
Now you just got a Cocho, cardboard cutout behind.
Hey, it's Brian Kelly now. Okay.
Sorry, yeah. My apologies. Next topic here. A computer glitch caused every single flight in the U.S. to be grounded this morning. At 9:10 a.m., a flight aware tracker caused a breakdown. It was not a cyber attack. Megan, what do you got on this?
I like that it's clearly labeled not a cyber attack, which makes me think that it might have been a cyber attack. I will say that if I were on a plane and I landed for no absolute reason at all, I would have been so angry. Like the amount of anger at the airport. And look, I never want to take it out on anybody that works for the actual airline because, you know, what do they really know? But at the same time, I feel like there probably was absolute mayhem on those planes and in those airports. And I'm very happy that I don't have to fly the next couple of weeks until they get that not cyber attack thing figured out.
Yeah, this feels very much like the you get the email out of the blue from some company you didn't even know had your email, and they're like, your privacy is very important, just want you to know this. And then 6 months later, it's like that company was hacked and they've known about it for months, if not years. You're just, you motherfuckers. I got to give a shout out to just humanity and the internet right now. I feel like we're evolving. I was on my phone, Megan, you know this, up at 5:30 in the morning with the kids. So I was up bright and early, and, you know, I'll occasionally check Twitter since I'm addicted to it. And I didn't hear one person complain about their flight being delayed, flight being grounded, any of this kind of stuff. I feel like we're just living with, like, life sucks if you're flying these days, especially the last few years. And like the fact that not one complaint when every single flight in the US was grounded, that's like the biggest upset in the world to me, that nobody complained when that's all people do. And they get fucking, 20-minute delay is just go on Twitter and cry about it. One person complained. So shout out America right now.
Shout out world.
Yeah. And I don't shout out to John Rich, who gives us the game notes. He bolded and capitalized not a cyber attack. So I don't know if that was him or someone else, but he really wants to know that it was not a cyber attack. Like you said. I'm surprised this doesn't happen like more often, right? Like, I don't know how computer systems just don't go offline more, right? Like you just like, how does things just not?
I do feel like the airline industry probably has to have it together by this time. You know what I'm saying? But as far as other systems, I get it. But the airlines, I don't understand how they're still having these not cyber attacks and any attacks in general. So maybe figure that one out.
Yeah, but just like that day, remember when like Facebook and Instagram were like offline for like a whole day? Do you remember that day?
I do remember that day. It was a very weird day.
Yeah, and it was like, oh my God, like what's going on? I don't know. I'm just surprised like networks like that don't go offline more often. But I guess like they do have the smartest engineers and the best people working on their software like around the clock. But I don't know. Shit like that just feels like it just breaks sometimes. I don't know.
I used to work in tech a lot before I started here. Excuse me. And like, again, those people that do that shit, the engineers, I feel like you are 7,000 times smarter than I'll ever be. Thank you for like building the structure. But like you said, like even banking, if I think about it, I'll be like, fuck, should I just take my money out of the bank? All it takes is one glitch, one hack, and that shit is just gone.
Think about that all the time. Like, I am irrationally scared of money going out, like all of a sudden just disappearing and then just being like, nope, sorry, we don't have it. And I'm like, wait, what? I trusted you guys.
Yeah, I think now one bad wire. Like, you know what I mean?
I will say this: if Putin or whoever the fuck wanted to like come and take down America from the inside out, you would think like cyber attacking the airline industry and then causing people to be stuck, that would cause like Gotham to eat itself, like a Batman movie, right? Like you have people fighting on the airplanes when everything's on time. So you have people who are just stuck there. You're traveling, you hate it. You're just losing your mind. I could see like that feels like the one industry. If you want to watch Americans eat themselves, grounding all flights in America would feel like the thing to do.
Yeah, that's true. So apparently the federal government is considering a nationwide ban on gas stoves. Megan, I always see you stirring up some gumbo. So we'll start with you. How does that affect the gumbo?
Well, for me personally, it doesn't affect it because I do not have a gas stove, but unfortunately, I have always wanted a gas stove. I grew up and my mom had this eight burner gas stove where it was just like she had things like 1,000 things cooking at once. And so that was kind of always like my dream kitchen was this humongous gas burning stove with 6 burners and 2 like little warmers, but looks like I don't want to give my kids asthma because apparently that's what it does. And then probably isn't great for the environment. I don't really know. There's a lot of things that I do that probably aren't great for the environment. So I should probably cut down on just being a bad person.
Who knew that? The study said that they believe almost 13% of current childhood asthma cases in the U.S. is attributable to the gas stove. Clem, did you know that?
I had no idea. I I feel like like back in the day, it was like lead paint, right? If you had lead paint, your kids are going to get sick and die, whatever the fuck it is. And I feel like, and this is the new thing. And then I feel like layup is in 20 years and be like, you guys were crazy. Wi-Fi and like cell phones, like you guys are all brain cancer now, right? I feel like we're going to learn all the unhealthy shit. Like they used to smoke in doctors' offices. So there's so much stuff that you don't know about. Yeah, that was nuts. I personally love this as a Team Electric guy because I have an electric stove, so I'm in the clear. Don't have to worry about it. And they have nice gas stoves, and they're all fancy with that shit. They got the flame going. They're fucking getting their pots nice and warm. I always felt like a poor having my little electric stove. It just is the orange cylinder heating up. You boys are about to get fucking thrown in jail for that shit. And I'm just going to be sitting there. Me and Megan be making our gumbo at home. Not a care in the world. Free as a bird.
Do you think they would do the same thing with, I mean, I guess like gas fireplaces too? Because like there's a ton, like whenever I go and visit Tennessee, every place I have, it's just like has like a little timer where you turn it on and the gas runs for 3 hours and the fire goes. So I feel like I've probably been like killing myself slowly for a long time and not realizing it. I definitely have. No, I definitely have been killing
You're
myself.
just giving yourself asthma, according to this,
Well, that's if we're just talking about the gas here, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It says roughly 40% of homes in the U.S. use gas. I got my tinfoil hat on a little bit here. Who's big electric? Yeah, that's what we're thinking here. Did you know there was? I believe there was a guy who had like a water powered car, like set and ready to go, and the guy just he died.
Definitely didn't kill himself.
Yeah, we don't talk enough about that guy.
He drove off a ledge. It was crazy. He didn't even know how to drive. It wasn't even his car. He just drove off a ledge one day. Tesla Eddie has to be loving this too, because you're in on the electric, from the ground up here.
Well, but we need a balance, Clem. We need a balance. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
I will say this about gas stoves. I passed out at my buddy's house. This was back when we used to actually drink and have fun. This was before kids. And he had a new house and he had a gas stove and we were just drunk. We're in the kitchen eating pizza, whatever. We passed out that night. I remember we were all dreaming. We said all in our dreams, we smelled gas. Gas was just running all day. That's a fucking hazard. No one under the age of 30 should be allowed to have gas stoves in their house.
That's a problem.
Definitely. Yeah. There's definitely been times, RIP grandma, but when she was still around and my parents still had that house where she would, walk by the stove and accidentally lean over it and, to stir something and hit one of the burners and it would just be like tick, 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 tick. But it's like this tiny, tiny tick and you don't hear it unless you think you're going crazy or until you start smelling gas. And pass out.
They should already be banned in college towns and in households over 80 years old. Like that.
Yes. Sure. Any asthma havers here on the panel?
No.
I have seasonal asthma, but
is that basically allergies or whatever?
Yeah, if I just run too much and outside, I'll just cough a lot and wheeze.
When me and Eddie run too much, we wheeze too.
That happens, yeah. That happens.
I was always jealous of kids in school that had the inhalers.
Yeah.
It's like glasses, inhalers, the kid with the cast, you always wanted braces. And then when you had them, it fucking sucked. And I always was like, oh, having allergies seems cool. I have allergies now that I'm old and it is the pits. So I couldn't imagine having your little seasonal allergies.
Why, do you got asthma?
No, I don't have asthma. Thank God.
Oh, you asked that. Like, you're going to be like, well, I'm actually an asthma guy.
No.
My dad was the big asthma guy. He had asthma and he also had to take the breathing treatments, with the big, look like a big.
Oh, yeah. The connector?
Yeah. It went to the little thing and he would do that and smoke a cigarette right after. So it's not like he was doing a whole lot, but.
Oh.
God bless him.
Papa Making Money sounds like a fucking good time. I will say that.
He was a fantastic time. He truly was. He was a great guy.
Wow. Last topic here. Science proves that liking sports cars means that you have a smaller, but not totally tiny cock.
Did John Rich put that in parentheses too? Does he like fast cars?
The jury is out. The jury is out. Megan.
I've always so I live obviously in Louisiana, so we have a lot. I feel like we have a lot more just people with vehicles here that that aren't taking Ubers and things of that nature. So there's just a lot more activity. There's not a ton of fast cars here, but there's a ton of jacked up big old trucks with like the fake balls hanging from the back. Those are the guys that have the small dicks. And I mean, like my husband drives a Mazda, nice big dick guy. These guys over here with these humongous trucks, and then they literally pop out. And no disrespect to the short kings out there, but these men are like 5'4", like tops. And it's like you need a step stool to even get in the truck. It's just those are the guys with the little wieners in my IMO.
The truck nuts.
The truck nuts guys. Yeah, sorry. Shout out truck nut guys, and your small dicks.
Shout out Mr. Makin Money. He'll drink you under the table, and he's a nice big dick guy.
Yeah, nice big dick guy.
Clem.
I loved hearing that about learning about the trucks and stuff like that, because I know Chaps is the one who blogged this, so I know he is a truck guy, so we can now deduct that Chaps has a small penis as well. That's unfortunate. Megan, I have to ask, like, obviously you were just your girlfriends. Like, if you saw a guy driving a sports car, are you guys like, oh my god, I need to see who's behind that wheel? Or is it just like, are you kind of like us? We're just like, shut the fuck up, Hardo. It's
kind of more for me. It's more like that. I'm sure there's girls out there that like love like a nice car, but for me, it's kind of like you probably, I know the payments on that thing, man. Like you probably, it's definitely not something that you own. Maybe a lease, or maybe gonna return it next month. It doesn't do it for me. Cars have never really been my thing at all, especially like the guys that put the cars in their Avi because they're like real proud of them, you know what I mean? It's almost like as bad as the fishing guys on the dating apps. Like
oh yeah, with the fish.
I mean, so Eddie's a Tesla guy. I am a minivan guy. So that's what we're, throwing out there.
Sounds like two hogs to me.
Yeah, there we go. I'm happy that doesn't get classified. That's not a sports car, so it's not.
And you're saving the world and looking cool doing it.
Exactly, environment. So apparently it was like a survey, and they said their dick size, and then they talked about their, I don't know. The blog is linked, and you could go check it out. But it adds up. Everyone knows this adds up. Like everyone is, who has something like this is probably overcompensating for something. And if they're not, maybe they just like cars. Maybe there's just nice guys who like cool cars too. So I'm sure that adds up.
The way you just said that.
Oh.
I'm sure there is.
This has been a thing for so long, though, that I have thought about it like in the past. I'm like, if I ever became rich, I would never get a sports car because then everyone thought I had a small dick. If I had a midlife crisis and I got divorced and married someone 20 years younger than me, I wouldn't then get a sports car because I don't want to be in the stereotype. And I feel like in a sick way, it kind of like, I feel like if you do see someone in a sick car, you're like, A, it probably has payments, right? And B, probably small dick, but totally not tiny dick behind that wheel.
But totally
I just feel like there's so much more cooler vehicles out there than sports cars. I think it's just like the sports car. Like, I mean, you can get like a classic car. Like, I feel like that's really cool. Like, if you find like my dad got my mom for her birthday a long time ago, a 69 Chevelle Super Sport convertible. And it was like electric blue with white seats. And I thought that was sick. But also, I mean, if I saw a guy driving that, I probably would actually think he has a small dick because it's like a really loud car. So
it sounds sick. I don't know what that is, but it sounds sick.
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful
color scheme.
The color scheme was also
I'm not a car guy either, but that's the way you describe. I'm like, oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but it sounded sick.
But you don't own one, so as we said, we had two hogs on the panel.
Exactly. There we go.
I can open both doors just hitting a button on my minivan. It's fucking awesome. And the trunk.
All right, guys. This was the rundown. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Clem. Thanks everybody for watching. The rundown will be back tomorrow. Go tune in. And that's all we got. See you guys next time.
That was a blast.
All right.
Love you guys. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Same here.
See you guys later.